Oilers Rig Radio. Huge win last night, which I was fortunate enough to be in attendance at. Thanks again to Dan for graciously bringing me along. I have to say, I think that was the most fun I've had at a live hockey game in a long time. It was funny driving to the rink with Danny last night. The conversation just wasn't as lively as normal. You could tell we were both pretty nervous going in. So, I have to say, even before Draisaitl sniped the first one, and even after that, there was just this air of nervousness. But man, that was fun. But anyways, the Oilers Rig Radio, as always, is brought to you by Production 71. And what does Production 71 do? Well, they create content. So if you need video content for your website, for your corporate website, if you need training videos, interactive training, if you need promotional videos, graphics, anything like that, Production 71 are the people to contact. If you want to know more, go to www.production71.com today. On the podcast today, rather than talk too much, I'd just rather get after it. Paul, the general manager from the Adidas store, joined me. We went for our regular weekend run Sunday morning. We chatted a little bit before the game, and then Dan and I sat down after the game, after being at the game. You might recognize the audio in the opening. That was the Orange Crush. So first up, here's Paul, and then after is Dan. Danny's intro music today is a little different. It's actually something he came up with on Snapchat, so you'll enjoy that. Anyway, here's Paul.
It's Sunday morning of the big game. The big elimination game, Game 6 versus Anaheim. I forgot my mic this morning, so we're doing this old school on the iPhone. So hopefully the audio is okay. I'm sitting here with Paul, the general manager of the Adidas store in South Edmonton Common. We just finished up our run, and while we were running, Paulie had a really interesting take on the officiating so far, so I'm going to let him take it from here. Paulie, your thoughts on the Zebras?
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having me back. I think the officials in the NHL have been under fire for good reason through much of these playoffs, as it's become evident that nobody really knows what goaltender interference is anymore. Nobody really knows who's making the decision. The referee gets the final say, but who's in his ear and what's being said by all these very quote-unquote intelligent hockey people. But I think that it's a systemic problem in the way that NHL officials are treated by the NHL, by the players, by the media. I'd like to think of another sport like the NFL. It's the largest sport, certainly in North America. It's the most creates the most revenue. Is just a juggernaut as far as leagues go. And I think of their games, even in playoff games or in very important games throughout the season, how often the officials are criticized. It's incredibly rare when you compare it to something like the NHL. In an NFL game, unless the integrity of the broadcaster would be brought into question if they didn't say something about the egregiousness of a call, they usually side with the official. They usually show the replay, explain what the official most likely saw, and move on with the game. In the NHL, we have this strange, quote-unquote code of, the whistles being put away in the last 5 minutes of the third period and the whistles being completely thrown out in overtime and in double overtime. It's a frustrating thing to watch as a lifelong hockey fan, how a penalty in the first period isn't a penalty in the third period, and somehow we blame the officials for this. I think that if there was more consistency and less criticism of the way the game is officiated, if we called the rules as they are presented, I think we would run into a whole lot less of these issues where when you look at a play like Ryan Kessler accidentally on purpose hooking his stick around a goaltender's pad, that's goaltender interference regardless of how he got in there. But, this pressure comes back to these officials who, in a regular season game, does that goal get called back? I don't know. It's the playoffs, so for some reason we work off a different rule book, and I think it's very frustrating. It's very unfair to the officials who I would say are doing as well as the best job that they can possibly do, and we all get frustrated. We're all fans. Of course, I wanted both those tying goals called back, because in my opinion, having played goal, the goaltender was impeded from making a save in both of those cases. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this culture of criticizing our officials for simply trying to call the game. And it's so inconsistent, and I don't see a solution on the horizon.
I completely agree with you, and I think I see two things going on. When we came out of the lockout in 2005, the league did make a huge effort to call the rule book. And lo and behold, scoring went up. And since that time, over the subsequent, 11, 12 years or how long it's been, scoring has been creeping down, but the obstruction has been creeping up. And it almost feels like in the regular season, it's mildly better than it was in the mid-90s. But once the playoff starts, it's the mid-90s all over again. And guys are water skiing, hacking, chopping, impeding, interference. And that's all okay. And it's all because, and then the excuse that's given is this, it's the way hockey's played, it's the code, it's whatever short-sighted answer some of these guys can give you. And I really don't buy it anymore. And I think it affects the game, because if you want, and I said this on the last podcast, but I'll say it again, if you're trying to introduce new people to the game, how do you explain that to somebody? How do you explain to somebody these goaltender interference calls? Because I've been watching the game for 40 years, and I couldn't tell you I agree with what Lucic says. I have no idea what goaltender interference is anymore. And how do you explain to somebody that's new to the game, that wants to be a fan of the game, that's, they're getting excited about the team that they've decided to follow, and a hook isn't a hook in the last 2 minutes of the third period. A trip isn't a trip anymore. They put the whistles away. What does that say about the integrity of the rules? Is if they're always open to interpretation and they're dependent upon who the players are involved. Have they earned the respect of the referees? What time of the game it's at? Is it a playoff game? Is it a non-playoff game? I will say this, though. If the Oilers, get eliminated tonight, or if they get eliminated in Game 7, I'm not going to cry about the officiating for one reason. In this series, the Oilers have yet to string together 3 consecutive periods of hockey. There's been lapses in every single game. We saw it again the other night. Yeah, they got some bad calls against them, but they let their foot off the gas. And so as much as there's been some really questionable calls, and I will never defend it, and the others still have to, I play Uno with my daughter all the time. And our saying is, you get what you get and you don't get upset, right? And that's life. Calls are going to go against you. You still have to play a full 60 minutes, and we haven't seen that out of the Oilers yet in this series. Hopefully they put it together tonight, but do you have any more thoughts about that?
Well, I'm hoping for Game 7. I think that if you had asked Oiler fans at the beginning of the year if they could come down to having a chance to push Game 7 in the second round, they would consider that a successful year. So regardless of the result tonight or moving forward, I think the Oilers should be very proud and the fan base should be very excited. We should all be excited about where this team is headed. I think that if they do string together 60 minutes tonight, they are the better team. They're getting the more consistent goaltending. They have some game breakers. And their best players really have started to come around and play very well. It's just, like you said, that 60 minutes, that full game is going to be crucial. And I hope that they're able to force a Game 7. I think it's going to be incredibly exciting. I think that building's going to be just rocking tonight. If nothing else, the new team, the new arena, the new attitude in Edmonton has put the league on notice that this team is one to watch over the years coming, and there's a fan base that is passionate, is excited, and wants this team to do well. So I'll be cheering. I'll be wearing my orange Connor McDavid jersey tonight, and I'll be cheering for the Oilers.
Yeah, like I told you, I actually get to go tonight. This is my first playoff game, and hopefully not my last. I'm not conceding that the Oilers are done by any stretch. I was just saying what I said before, because, I mean, yeah, the officiating has been a large factor, but so is their inability to play a full 60. The other thing I think that was kind of exposed in the last game, and this isn't really a criticism on the team, because they've really, Chiarelli's really brought it a long way, but the Oilers get a little bit banged up on the back end, with Sekera going down and Clefbaum getting clipped and Benning getting clipped and missing different portions of the game. The Oilers still really aren't that deep on the blue line. I mean, even if say Sekera can't come back or Benning can't come back, doesn't matter. Take your pick, whoever, any of the 6 guys right now. You're looking at your next guy down is Eric Gryba, right? There's still some. I mean. Yeah, they've made it this far, and if they get knocked out by the Ducks, they have made it, but there's still areas on the team that need to be improved. Center ice is something they got to look at. Winning faceoffs is another thing. So, I mean, this is not a complete team by any stretch of the imagination. And the fact that they've made it this far, having all those pieces in place. One guy that I'd love to see them go after in the offseason, this probably won't make you happy, Paulie, is Brian Boyle. A big guy who can win faceoffs. He can play fourth lines. He can move up to your third line. And in a pinch, he can play some he could play some top 6 minutes if he had to. Ideally, you don't want him there, but there's still issues and holes that need to be addressed. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's been the criticism, if you will, of the team all year is the depth on defense, and it's for times like this when that they need that extra little bit, though, when those injuries come and you need that body to put in there. They just don't have the depth there right now. And you're right, you're dealing with a fairly young center ice group who are new to taking faceoffs in these intense moments and literally taking faceoffs against the best faceoff guys in the league in this series against Anaheim. So Boyle would be a great fit on a team like this. I think that there's sort of a handful of guys in that third and fourth line spot who can win faceoffs. But I think that also another year of experience for guys like McDavid is going to make them that much better. And when they have the talent at the center ice position, the natural talent that's there now, those guys always are trying to get better. And I think winning faceoffs in the NHL does take time. It's something that even the most skilled players on the planet took time to learn. So I think that it's positive looking, but if I were Chiarelli and that management team, I would be looking for some depth defensemen, and I'd be looking for some center ice help as well.
Now, some questions about the lineup for night game. Now, honestly, I haven't looked online to see what the lineups are going to be, but you have to, obviously by the time this segment is published, we'll already know the answer to this. But looking at tonight, do you think McLellan looks at it and says, "Do I go with Eberle tonight? Do I go, do I bring a veteran like Hendrickson? Do I bring in a guy like, just for the hell of it, just as all speculative anyway. Anton Lander, do we finally see him because he can win a draw? I mean, you're facing an elimination, or do you go with the guys that got you here? And in my view, you go with the guys that got you here because I don't know. If you really want to throw a guy like Lander to the wolves, I mean, Gryba's foot speed is an issue, right? Depending on if Sekera can play, and again, like I haven't looked at the lineups yet, so I don't know. But I wouldn't be making any massive lineup changes at this point because I think at this point you're here. You might as well go with the guys that got you here, and even with Eberle, yeah, he hasn't really showed up in the playoffs so far, but it wasn't that long ago that he was captain clutch for Team Canada in the World Juniors, so we know he has that ability there. So, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I would say that I agree. I think I'd stick with the team that got you this far. We've seen this team show some resolve already in the playoffs, and they do have some grit there. I think that this is the team I would go with. I would be afraid of Hendricks' foot speed the same way I would for Greiba. And I guess Lander is the one change you could see because he's a good face-off guy. But it's not like this team has been so badly outplayed that you need to make a move to shake things up, to make a move for the sake of making a move. I think that you show confidence in this team. They brought in some leaders like Lucic in the offseason for moments just like this to keep everybody as level as possible and as ready as can be. So I would stick with the team that they've been running out there. They've been playing very well, and I think they deserve the right to keep this team rolling.
Well, Paul, any final thoughts before we go and off on our Sunday here?
Go Oilers. Let's get to Game 7.
Well, there you have it. We have that. Thanks again, Paul, for doing this, and we'll catch up this week.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Just like Carlisle wants the white glove treatment, we're going to give him the latex glove treatment. Woo-hoo! Yeah.
We are back in Dan's garage. No sense of a lot of pleasantries there, Dan. Game 6, you and I were at tonight. 7-1. Let her rip.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. They couldn't have written a better story.
No, it was funny, you and I, get into the game. We didn't talk as much as we normally. I mean, there was definitely some nerves, and I know that you commented the second we walked into Rogers Center that it was kind of a weird vibe. Do you want to just talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think we talked, but we really didn't talk much about hockey, right?
Yeah.
I think your boy had some soccer. We chatted about that, and I think we kind of avoided the whole conversation the entire way about the game. But yeah, you get into that building, and I felt it one time before. I mean, I've been to a few now, and the game 5 against San Jose after the Oilers got beat there 7-0 in Game 4, it felt kind of the same way. Just a lot of people, like you could tell, people were ready to cheer on the Oilers, but it was kind of nervous. It was a nervous energy.
Yeah, I mean, even when they, the first couple goals, I mean, people were cheering, but the atmosphere kind of after the goal was kind of like, oh no, like when's it going to start? I mean, I even said to you, I think with 7 minutes left in the third, I was still kind of waiting for, geez, do you think they're going to win? And they're up 7-1. Yeah. I mean, that kind of gives you a sense of what I was thinking. Now, my initial impression right now, I'm going to tell you right off the hop, Peter Chiarelli should be fired. Chris Russell, awful. Ryan Hart, awful. And I know I'm making a sweeping generalization here, mockingly, but 7-1, Clefbaum's not in the lineup, Sekera's not in the lineup, Benning steps up huge. What more do you want?
He's put some depth on that team. Anybody saying Chiarelli didn't do a good job doesn't really pay much attention to hockey, and he's put some depth on the team, which they didn't have before. Gave up some assets to get some of that bench strength. But interesting. I didn't even think about it. We got to the game and we didn't even, we looked at the scratches and I didn't even notice Clefbaum's name on the list. I was more looking for the Ducks, the Exa. And it was like 3 shifts in when we both kind of went, there's no Clefbaum here.
Well, I was showing you something on my phone and you thought I was trying to show you a picture. Yeah. And it was the text message that my buddy Paul, who's on this podcast, I talked to him earlier today. He had just texted me. I think the text message read, Greiba, Reinhardt, third pairing, scary. And I was trying to show you that, and it never registered with you. And I thought you saw it because you went on, what else is on the phone there. But, I will give credit to that pairing because I didn't notice them, and that's a good thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Benning, he was awesome out there. We may have talked about this before, but Kajula had a big game as well, I thought. He was, always in the mix.
And right wing, number 36, Drake Kajula!
Laying his body, the fight with Cogliano. Those two guys, two young rookies, basically, right? I mean, they're older rookies, I guess, because of they're both college players. But what are those guys going to be like in 3 or 4 years, with a little bit of more experience under their belt? I'm pretty excited about those. Well, Benning was excellent. Him and Nurse as well. Some discipline there with Corey Perry when Perry was clearly trying to goad him into a punch in the face or something for a.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty
Yeah, well, I don't know what they saw on TV at home, but on the big screen it had it was on Nurse, and he was laughing the whole time. He knew exactly what Corey Perry was trying to do. So the defense played well again tonight. I mean, 35 shots against, but I think they were mostly perimeter shots. So that's.
Well, like I said to you in the car, I don't remember a lot of what you would call a 10-bell save on Talbot's part.
They had a lot of good chances. I thought the Ducks did that, kind of went the Oilers' way, where kind of squeaked just past or through the crease, and maybe a stick got lifted or something. But I think I mentioned.
So hold on for a sec. You might hear that in the background. That was, if you didn't believe we were actually sitting in a garage, you just probably heard a car go by. So sorry, Tim.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you on the way that the Oilers have had some pretty bad luck by way of calls and in the last few games of the series, and that I felt that they were gonna that luck would swing back around here, and it did a little bit. I think
a little, but still there was some. And I said that as we were driving there, and if you listen to the part that I taped with Paul, if the Oilers lost this series tonight, I wouldn't have blamed it on officiating, simply because until this game they never played 3 consecutive periods of hockey. However, that being said, there's been a lot of garbage refereeing, and it was there tonight. Like Maroon taking a second minor when the guy basically sat on him.
Yeah, he was a mattress.
Blaming the refs is always an easy way out, but I think there's an honest Oiler fans, and the Oilers have an honest gripe, right? Like, am I wrong?
Oh, I definitely think we have a gripe. I mean, anybody who thinks that Game 5 third goal with 15 seconds left wasn't interference when Kessler pinned down Talbot's pad for probably a good 3 or 4 seconds.
And so when they put it on the Supreme, like the real slow-mo on the hot stove.
Yeah.
I know they don't call it the hot stove, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you're just like, come on.
Yeah, and I want to give the ref who looked at that the benefit of the doubt in that he knew going into looking at his iPad or whatever what kind of tablet it is that they have there, that there was the good possibility that Nurse had shoved Kessler into the crease. And he looked at that play for, man, I don't even think it was 10 seconds that they were over at the bench. He came back quick after he looked at it one time, and that was it. And I truly feel like that's what he had in his mind. I need to see if he pushed him in. And he didn't wait. He didn't even watch what actually happened on the play. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he had it in his, I'm going to repeat myself here, but had it in his mind of what exactly he needed to look at. And he didn't even give anything that happened after that, because Nurse pushed him in. Had Nurse pushed him in and Kessler got up, or even just laid there and didn't obstruct Talbot's pad, it's not goaltender interference, right? What Nurse did does not, by pushing Kessler into him, does not construe goaltender interference. I can agree with that. So, anyway. Yeah, I was pretty mad. I was pretty mad at the refs on Friday night, and I woke up Saturday morning, and I think my wife described it today at lunch, that there was a black cloud hanging over the house on Saturday. And I didn't let it affect my kids or my wife or whatever, but she could just tell that I was grumpy. And there's no other reason why I would have been grumpy other than that. I was still pretty bitter.
I wasn't, if I was grumpy on Saturday, yeah, part of it would have been because they lost. But most of it would have been another late game. I'm an old man. When they came back, went in overtime, I was more pissed off that it was going to OT than they came back from 3-0. Yeah. I'm just going to say it. It's the truth.
Yeah. Oh, man, you mean I got to stay up longer?
Like, come on.
My head was already on the pillow. Yeah, no, yeah.
Tough one. To get up 3 times in the night to take a piss, right? Like, I've only got so many hours to sleep.
Yeah, tough one on Friday. And I don't think there was a lot of difference between Game 5 and Game 6 by way how the Oilers played. The biggest difference was the final 3 minutes, right? I mean, they got some lucky bounces tonight that got goals. Draisaitl's for the first goal, right? He fanned on it, and it kind of handcuffed Gibson. And, so there were some lucky bounces, but I feel like the Oilers had they were playing the same game that they did at the beginning of Game 5 for the first 57 minutes or 56 minutes that they did, but they played 60 tonight. Like, even when they were up 4 or 5 nothing.
Like I said to you, they just hadn't strung 3 full periods together.
That's right, yeah. But they just kept hammering them after 4, 5, 6, right? They just kept going.
And, you bring up, I think it's a really good segue because you bring up Draisaitl. And I believe I'm quoting the infamous Eminem here. But mother effers forgot about Dre. And you notice I didn't say the whole thing because I've decided I'm not swearing on the podcast anymore.
Okay.
People probably are going to no, you can. I'm just saying I'm not going to because I'm making enough of an idiot myself that I don't need to add to it.
Okay.
But anyway, right now, like up to this point right now, we don't know what's going to happen over the next while. But right now, you would have to give the Conn Smythe. It'd be a toss-up right now between Talbot and Draisaitl. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are. Draisaitl, I think I read it here, I think between the second and third period, actually, that Draisaitl was now 1 point behind Malkin for the playoff lead after tonight. Mm-hmm. I mean, 5 points will do that to almost everybody, but especially against in the second round, he's been a force. The Ducks got no answer for him. Like it doesn't matter. Like I think they're going to start putting Kessler on him. I mean, how can you not after that? Right? He's playing against the best player on the Ducks, Ryan Kessler. Ryan Getzlaf. Getzlaf's got nothing.
It's okay if you mess up Getzlaf's name. He's got a worse hairline than mine. So.
Yeah.
He knows it. It's true.
His hairline's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And man, when you watch him on TV, he farmer blows a lot, eh? You ever notice that?
Yeah.
At least once a game, they catch him on the TV. And if they catch him at least once a game, he's doing it like 15 times.
Speaking of bad hair, you and I think between the first and the second period, we're on the 200 level concourse. And this old guy who thinks he's fooling a lot of people walk by, but that was the worst hairpiece I've ever seen. And then we were wondering, like, if Draisaitl got the hat trick, does he have to throw his little hat on the ice? Right. And then I was saying to you, like, somebody will probably just peel the Velcro off and whip that thing off for him.
Yeah.
But that thing was pretty awful. I mean, I spotted that thing through a lot of people.
You bet. Like, he must have had a bit of a skullet going on, because you could tell he had the real hair on the sides and in the back, because there's like a different color of gray than that shiny, like, what looked like maybe a cat skin across his dome.
Hey, you know what? I'm not Tom Cruise,
Right.
But that thing was...
It was bad. It was a bad...
Like, come on.
Come on. If you're listening, gray-haired toupee guy...
Shut it down.
Be better, man. Get rid of the toupee.
Get rid of your little hat. And then those people they showed on the big screen, the plastic surgery couple,
Oh yeah.
they were all shiny and stuff, and you're just like, ah!
Yeah, Botox. Mr. and Mrs. Botox.
Oh, that was bad.
Sorry, everyone. Kind of went on our rant here about.
Well, a couple other guys talked about, and you picked the order. Matt Benning and Zach Cassian. You pick the order. You wanna whatever one you wanna.
Well, I mean, Benning is like we're watching him develop right in front of us. He gets better every game. He had a big game in Game 5 too. I mean, with Clefbaum and Sekera out, and he took that shot. They were talking about how it was a shoulder. I almost thought it was maybe in the ribs, where the guy's stick was kind of low, and it looked like it when they went into the boards there. And we're talking about Benning, that it looked almost like he got the stick in the kidneys or the ribs.
Yeah.
Maybe knocked the wind out of him a bit when he was down, but man, did he ever come back in Game 5 hard and played an excellent game into a big role without Clefbaum or Sekera for the whole game and Clefbaum for portions of it. Mm-hmm. And then tonight he was huge out there. He killed power play time. He was steady Eddie there. He was good. He laid a few big hits, and
yeah, I loved him. And then Cassian scores another goal, and he just seems to be more and more of that guy on the bottom part of your roster who can come up big when you need to. But I know another guy that impressed you tonight was Kajula. I mean, it's an amazing way to get a player if it hits because it's free. Yeah. And fighting Cogliano, I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mean, I'm a Cogliano fan. I have been since he was an Oiler. I love the way he plays hockey. He's tough as nails, right, for a little guy. Mm-hmm. But he took that elbow, and was it Kajula who laid the elbow on him there in the corner where he went down and he was leaking all over the place. Mm-hmm. But then not even 5-10 minutes later into the game,
later, yeah.
he's now fighting Kajula, trying to get his team going. Good on him. It didn't work very well because I think he got his show run.
Well, some of the guys sitting next to us on one of the sides made the comment of like, if Cogliano's trying to get the team going, like, whoa.
Yeah, that's not really the way to do it. Yeah, because Kajula kind of started the lawnmower on him there a little bit, landed a few good ones, but good on him though. But anyway, he's a beauty too. Like it's, he's quick. He's not afraid to hit. Eberle, are you listening? And a lot of guys get their game going that way. Right? By laying a couple of bodies and they feel like they're in the game and I don't.
What do you do with Eberle? 12. I mean, I think we heard it on the radio on the way home tonight. 12 minutes tonight, 2 of it on the power play, only 10 even strike minutes.
Yeah.
Really didn't do anything tonight that I noticed. What do you do? What do you do with him?
Well, I like Eberle. I'm a fan of his. He's been a good soldier for the Oilers. He's struggling in this series. I found him to be fairly decent in the San Jose series. Him and Nuge are -1 tonight, as sad as that sounds, losing 7-1 or winning 7-1. Mm-hmm. But they were on the ice for the goal against, and that was it. So, but like. Everyone knows Eberle is this big game player, and that's what he was through his junior career. And I mean, I think I said it a bunch of times tonight. He needs to score, and if he can score, and he made a couple of what I thought to be high confidence plays tonight. Now again, they were up 6 or 7-1 by this point when I noticed some high confidence plays from Eberle, but he did a couple of toe drags and they didn't work out for him, but I just feel like he's trying to work through it, and I wish McClellan would have played him more after they went up 6-0 because I feel like he's just got to play through his slump.
Well, I was surprised. I remember you turned to me, and it might have been 4-1 or 5-1. doesn't matter, but it was relatively early on in the game. And you said, so do you think they'll basically play the crap out of Nugent Hopkins and Eberle to see if they can work their way out of it?
Yeah.
And they didn't.
No,
you know?
they didn't. They didn't. And I mean, whatever, they won or whatever. But back to the point about, like, I'd love to see Eberle have a big game, possibly score the game winner or something like that to just kind of get that monkey off of his back. And everybody remembers the Team Canada huge goal. And then I think in the same World Junior Championships, he scored the game winner, I think, in the gold medal game or something like that. So he's a big game player, and that's what people know a lot about him. And I sure hope he comes out for Game 7.
Well, can you imagine they get through the final. It's OT to win the cup or to keep him alive or something like that. And Peter Klimas it. And that just if he does it, it wipes the slate clean. Right?
Well, that's what I mean, is like the media is just hammering on him, specifically Ryan Rishaug. Rishaug has got no time for Jordan Eberle right now, and I kind of wish they'd, I don't understand the media sometimes. I know their job is to notice what's going on, but just the way they hammer on guys sometimes, it bothers me. Listen, man, they're not saving lives, right? They're playing hockey. He's making a lot of money. It's not my money. I don't care. The Oilers are winning. I don't. It does not bother me one bit that Jordan Eberle is struggling. Do I think he's going to be an Oiler next year? Probably not. Do I think they're going to get a king's ransom for him? No. And any Oiler fan who thinks that they should get, especially the way he's been this year, a king's ransom for him is crazy, right? Like you're going to get a second, maybe a third pairing defenseman at this point, or second round pick maybe. So,
I mean, the reality is he had 17 goals until the last day of the season.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it wasn't that many years ago that Yakupov only had 13 goals. Or was it even less than that? And then he had a big game against the Canucks to get him up to 17 goals or whatever it was.
Yeah. That was his rookie year.
No, I think Eberle's value is higher than a third round pick and Zach Pinocchio or whatever the hell that guy's name is. That ECHLer they got for him. But I would agree with you. I mean, if you think you're getting better than a middle of the league to lower end of the league fourth defenseman.
Yeah.
I think you're kidding yourself.
Yeah. But anyway, he could redeem himself for Oiler fans on Wednesday night. Some Game 7 magic. We'd love it from you, Abs. And, yeah.
Well, you're excited. No, I want to ask you about... I was really, really interested when we found out that Klefbom didn't go. And then we saw Nurse beside Larson. Nurse has been very chaotic throughout the playoffs. Some games really good, some games he's just on that edge of he's jumping into the play too much, he's a little bit scattered. I thought he did a good job tonight of just calming his game down. What do you think?
Yeah, he didn't really make too many stupid plays that I noticed. He made a couple where he got lucky, I feel. Like there was one that I remember right off the top of my head where he was in his zone and he had the puck up against the boards behind the net, kind of off to the left or whatever, just off to the side, almost in the corner. And he almost did this he was about to get hit and he had the puck, but instead of just kind of throwing it up the wall or back around the net to the other D guy, he kind of did this half spinorama, and it worked out for him, and it created space for himself. But I think those are kind of the plays that you're talking about, that he makes that play, and sometimes the puck comes off his stick and it jumps right out into the front of the net, and there's a Duck waiting to all by himself, right? So I still feel like he made a couple of plays where, it made you, but they worked out for him tonight, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to watch the evolution of a young guy's game. And I think people forget sometimes that with Nurse, defensemen, again, cliche, but I think it's relatively true, take longer to develop.
Yep.
And anyone needs to, like, anyone who's watched Darnell Nurse realizes the guy has the physical tools. He can skate. For a guy that big, he skates like the wind. He's strong, tough, mean.
Yeah.
It's just getting that chaos out of his game. And I thought tonight, overall, he was better than most nights that we've. And you know, having to step up into that role, it's you hope that guy is what he was tonight for the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is.
Sorry, Sean, but I think if Clefbaum is back for Game 7, which it sounds like he should be, that you'll see Benning come up and play with Russell. Well, wait a minute. Are Benning and Russell right D?
Well, Russell's left hand, Russell moves. He can play both sides.
Right. So maybe you see Russell and Benning, and then you'll see Nurse with. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's something we should talk about. Do they go Greiba or do they go Reinhardt after tonight?
You know, neither one of them stood out more than the other. So, honestly, I would go with Greiba, and for the only reason, he's right-handed. It's the only reason. Like that pair tonight, I thought they were in, when they were announced, I thought, oh, here we go. But, and this is a compliment, I didn't really notice them. Mm-hmm. And really, that's all you can ask from them. Like, just don't do anything where, it puts the team in a bad spot. So the only reason why I would say Greiba is just simply because he's right-handed.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just pulled up the stats here. Greiba had 13 minutes, 28 minutes of ice time. He had 6 hits. And where's Reinhardt here? Reinhardt had an assist. He also had 13 minutes, 23 seconds, so he played 5 seconds less than Greiba. And he had 5 hits and a block. So, Greiba had a block as well. So, fairly even, sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to go with the natural right-handed shot then.
And he's a little more experienced. He's a little bit
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
He's got a sweet beard. I mean, that's a factor in the playoffs.
Sure, yeah.
Well, just got to crack fresh beer. But yeah, I think. But if Reinhardt got in there versus other than Greiba, really, am I going to kick up a fuss? Because honestly, in a Game 7, how much is that guy really playing anyway?
Yeah.
Right? In a winner-takes-all kind of situation, he's going to shorten his bench. It's just the way. Maybe he doesn't, but I mean, generally speaking, he's just going to shorten his bench.
Benning led the Oilers in ice time tonight too. 23 minutes, 38 seconds.
You know what I realized about Matt Benning is he's a St. Albert boy, right? And he'd be 22, 23 years old, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So judging by his age, and Dan, before I met you, but you know this, I used to be a bartender at a lounge that was attached to a family restaurant in St. Albert. Its odds are pretty good. I've either served him wings or fries at some point in my life.
There you go. Yeah.
A young Matt Benning.
He's 22. He was probably
making
gonna have his 23rd birthday here in a little while.
He was probably making more money a year than me back then. He definitely is now.
Yeah, no, he was great. He was great, and we're gonna need more out of him here, especially now that it's kind of confirmed that Sekera won't be in for Game 7. To me, it sounds like it's probably done for the year, just kind of the way they talked about it, right? But they're not gonna.
Well, it looked like a knee, right?
Yeah, and it was Getzlaff that did it, but by no means was it a dirty
cheater.
Play. Yeah, cheater. No, great game tonight. Good company. Beer was cold. Crowd was loud.
Well, I'm actually having my first ever beers while you and I have been doing the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first time I've podcasted under the. Well, that's not true.
No, I heard some of your Golden Bear podcasts back in the day with Rich. You guys had a few sodas at the Golden Bear.
Just to be
games, I'm
clear, we
sure.
Ubered. We did Uber.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
and I'm walking home from here. We live in the same neighborhood. Now, before we shut her down here, Dan, I need you to open your laptop and navigate to YouTube because we need to walk through a music video. And the only reason why I ended up seeing this video, and no, I think the song's actually a couple years old, but I mean, I'm in the parent bubble. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't see the new music. I don't know what the kids are into. Right? I'm gonna come out of my bubble, and then I just want to. Anyway, so the reason why I'm watching is because that podcast that we did, I think it was 2 ago, and we mentioned the Black Eyed Peas because of the Jack Michael or Chaz
Michaels.
thing.
Yeah.
So I had gone online to get a picture for that podcast episode, and then I was on YouTube, and then there's this one called MILF from Fergie. And I watched this video and I immediately thought of you because of the conversation. And the reason I want you to watch the video, and then we'll have a little chat about it. So I'm just gonna pause this because I'm pretty sure we get in copyright trouble if that was playing in the background. So just hold on a sec here. All right, so thanks to the magic of electronic audio, we're back, and Dan and I went down a rabbit hole, I think. So we just watched the YouTube video of Fergie MILF, and then Dan decided, well, you want to go there, salesman? Let's take it up a notch. And what was it called?
Anaconda by Nicki Minaj.
All right.
Both videos equally cheesy, but well done.
I'm sorry, but the bananas on the turntable, that takes the cake. Because did you not think you were being suggestive enough? Do you think anyone would watch that video and not understood that you're basically saying, my back door's open? Like, did you need to add the bananas on the turntable?
The bananas just added that flair.
Yeah. Now that was in the Anaconda Nicki Minaj video.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you this, Dan, and I think I know the answer, but I was thinking about it from my point of view. That white thing that she wears, that's not on the sides. Now,
they're like stickers.
yeah, like the stickers that barely cover her.
Right.
If your wife walks out of the bathroom wearing that, it's game on, right? Like you look and you're like, ha ha.
Yeah, game on. Yeah.
I'm pulling the net back onto the middle of the road. Put your sticks on the ice, boys.
Game on.
But what did you think of the old MILF?
Excellent video.
Yeah.
It made me want to drink milk. Like a cold, tall glass of milk. Craving it.
Because you have the milk money.
Yeah, that's right. I got the milk money.
The part in that video where I was just like, oh my God, what the hell am I watching? Is when the young guy driving the milk truck is driving by the lady who's breastfeeding, and he starts drinking some milk, and it's like spilling down his chin. I'm like,
Yeah.
sweet Lord, like how did somebody pitch that and think, and then have a group of people go, yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, exactly. The breastfeeding mom probably shouldn't be in a rap video, but
No.
hey, who am I to judge?
Any other comments on the video?
Well, I think we talked, if that's what the kids are listening to and watching, I don't think my kid's allowed to watch YouTube anymore.
No. And you either one of those videos, and I don't care which one, but both. I'm going to say both of them. Do you think those would have aired over regular cable TV I know they don't really show music videos on Much Music or MTV anymore, but I'm assuming like a half an hour a day, maybe they show them, because they have to show them somewhere.
Yeah.
Would that have gone on regular cable? Does that go straight to YouTube? I don't even know.
Yeah, well, and I don't really know either. I mean, that Anaconda one, I've seen that a few years ago. Now, I don't know how I saw it. I don't believe it was on just regular TV. I mean, that song is, well, and both of those songs they have some testy language in them, both of them, right? So,
Suggestive language.
yeah, I don't know how those make it to cable TV.
No, like, you know, there's always the remix that, you know, they say
Yeah.
a different lyric and the song kind of sounds funny, but
Sure.
yeah. So yeah, that's the video review portion of the segment tonight.
That was very good, very good. Well done, Fergie.
I don't have a quiz question for you this time.
Oh,
I could make some stuff up. See, I caught myself. Right now. I was gonna swear, cleaning it up. Any other thoughts about Oilers? What about the Nashville Predators? What do you think about them?
well, to be honest, I haven't really watched much of their playoffs, but it sounds like a lot of defense. But I think, you know, should the Oilers win on Wednesday night against the Ducks in Game 7, I think the Oilers have the speed to probably get through their neutral zone. And I don't want to count our chickens before they're hatched, but again, haven't really watched much of Nashville. They got a big goalie.
Yeah, he kind of fills the whole net. That guy.
Yeah, you know, he and he's good. He's an athlete as well, so that's good. But just sounds like a lot of defense.
You said it on a couple podcasts ago. Nashville plays a bit of boring hockey, but a lot of the games in the playoffs, if you watch them during the regular season, you'd think they were a dud. So it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Danny, closing thoughts before we shut this down. You want to watch any more?
Well, after you leave, I'm probably going to watch a whole lot more of those, but no, just kidding. You said wormhole. I'm about to get deep. You know, it's still early, man. I could go for a while, but anyway,
It's not even 10 o'clock.
No, hey, Game 7 Wednesday night.
Oh, there's so many ways I could edit that, but I'm not going to. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Game 7 Wednesday night. It's gonna be a good one. I like the Oilers' chances, especially if they keep up the way they played the first 57 and a half minutes in Game 5 and the full 60 tonight. So, well, sorry, the Oilers played, you know, decent in overtime too in Game 5. So I say 57 and a half minutes or 56 and a half minutes or whatever, but you know, there's that 2.5 minute lapse, right? But anyway, if the Oilers can string another 60 minutes together like they did the last two games, I don't see any reason why they don't win this series.
No, I think it's gonna be fun, and you know we really are as fans. I think we have to remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, but we're in gravy time.
Yeah.
We didn't think we were here,
Yeah.
right? Now we're here.
Yeah.
You know, not letting them off the hook, but like I've said to you, I'm along for the ride right now, and I'm having a great time. Like tonight was a lot of fun, and you know, thanks for taking me. It was it's probably the best game, most fun I've ever had at a live hockey game. So
Good. No, great. I'm glad you did.
yeah.
I had a great time too, and hopefully we get in another one here.
Well, you know, I'm like really once the Oilers are out of the playoffs, the next podcast's not till the draft. So I got a few more of these in me, I think. So.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Anyways, buddy, thanks for doing this, and we'll talk to you after Wednesday.
Yeah, my pleasure.